The Zealots were an anti-aristocratic political group with social demands that dominated political developments in Thessalonica from 1342 until 1350. The contemporary sources, notably anti-Zealotin sympathies, provide little information on the Zealots' government at Thessalonica. The Zealots managed to establish effective civic self-government for 8 years. They confiscated the property of the aristocracy, and redistributed their wealth. However, it is hard to know whether the Zealots actually had a program for social reform. One possible explanation would be that as the city was in a constant state of siege, a sense of somewhat egalitarian society may have developed. Background: at the beginning of the 14th century, the Byzantine Empire went into dramatic decline. There was a major civil war in the 1320s, accompanied with invasions from almost all sides. As the empire became weaker and more impoverished, the misery of the great masses in the countryside and in the cities became almost unbearable. Both in the country and in the towns, all wealth was concentrated in the hands of a small aristocratic class, and against him was directed the bitterness of the destitute masses. The leader of the all-powerful aristocratic class was John Kantakouzenos, who after the death of Emperor Andronikos III Palaiologos was the effective regent for the latter's infant son, John V. A faction in Constantinople, formed around the powerful Megastou Alexios Apokoukos, plotted against him, and managed to enlist the support of Dowager Empress Anna of Savoy and the Patriarch John Kalakas. The conflict between the new regency and Kantakouzenos broke out openly in October 1341. This political and dynastic dispute was quickly transformed into a class-based social conflict. While the aristocratic landholders of Macedonia and Thrace, and the propertied classes in general supported Kantakouzenos, the lower and middle classes, both in the countryside and the cities, supported the regency. In addition, contemporary Byzantine society was also divided on religious issues, between the mysticist hesychasts or Palamites and the intellectuals or Balaamites, who preferred to pursue the study of philosophy and shared the inheritance of ancient Greece. Rise of the Zealots. Thessalonica at the time was the second most important city of the empire after Constantinople itself. Wealthy and at least as populous as the capital, its people had already resented control from the far-off capital, and had already once rebelled against the Constantinople-appointed governor. In the First Palaiologan Civil War, in 1322, they had ousted the despots Constantine Palaiologos in favor of Andronikos III and his lieutenant, John Kantakouzenos. When the Second Civil War broke out, control of the city was of great importance to both camps, and Kantakouzenos' aristocratic supporters, led by its governor Theodore Synodinos, tried to deliver it to him. The common people of the city, however, led by the dockworkers and sailors, reacted, ousted them and took control of the city. Real power in the city, however, rested with the Zealots' leader, a Michael Palaiologos, who jointly with John held the title of Archon. A council was also established, but its composition and role is unclear, although the Zealots, throughout their existence, continued to recognize the legitimate Emperor John V Palaiologos. The city was effectively run as a commune and a people's republic. Under the new regime, the possessions of the aristocracy were confiscated. The Zealots, who were regarded in conservative ecclesiastical circles as disciples of Balaam of Calabria and Gregorius Indinus, were also violently opposed to the hesychasts, who supported Kantakouzenos. The political Zealots were therefore enemies of the church Zealots. Michael and Andreas Palaiologos were the leaders of the revolt. Despite efforts to identify them, however, they do not fit in any way into the known Palaiologan family tree, and we do not even know their relationship to each other. They may, indeed, simply have come from some sort of client family or families who took the dynastic name by extension. But one point does remain unavoidable. The so-called revolutionaries did consistently identify themselves with Paleologan legitimacy, Apocaukos coup, reaction and terror. During the next years, the city successfully resisted attempts of Kantakouzenos to capture the city with the aid of his allies, the Seljuk Emir Umar and Stefan Dusan of Serbia. As the tide of the civil war gradually turned toward Kantakouzenos, however, John Apocaukos began plotting against the Zealots. He contacted the remnants of the pro-Kantakouzenian aristocracy, and after having Michael Paleologos killed, assumed power himself. After learning of his father's murder in Constantinople in June 1345, Apocaukos decided to hand the city over to Kantakouzenos, but the city mob, led by Andreas Paleologos, another leader of the longshoremen, rose up against him. Apocaukos and about 100 of the leading aristocrats were lynched, and everyone even suspected of Kantakouzenism was liable to be killed and his house and property plundered. In 1347 Kantakouzenos and the Emperor John V reconciled, but the Zealots ignored the orders from the capital, such as the appointment of Gregory Palamas as its archbishop. The city remained isolated from the outside world, suffered from the Black Death, and was further subject to the continued threat of Stefan Dusan. The situation became increasingly desperate, and there was even talk of surrendering the city to the protection of foreign, namely Serbian, rule. This, however, was unacceptable to many Thessalonians, including the other archon, Alexios Laskaris Metakites. At the end of 1349, the Zealots were defeated, and Andreas Paleologos fled to Mount Athos. Negotiations followed, and in 1350, Kantakouzenos, accompanied by Emperor John Paleologos and Palamas, made a triumphal entry into the city. Citations: Bar Jesus, 95. Nickel, 193. Larian Borden, 411. Runciman, 27. Barker, 16. ABCDE Barker, 17. Nickel, 195. Monachos website. Historical appendices on Gregory Palamas. Barker, 20. Bar Jesus, pp. 95-96. AB Barker, 18. Saint Gregory Palamas the Hierite.